Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have kids, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning. There I am. Good morning. It is good to be with everybody. I feel like much of my tech wasn't working this morning, but it looks like I'm here and operational and everything is going good now. So it is great to see everybody. Welcome. Let's see who we got. Sable Phoenix is here and Lynn is here. Good morning. Good morning. And Zero the Blade. Micah is here. Good morning. Gashrin is here. Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. See, Sable Phoenix says, I'm happy for this subject. Lamentation is so elegant. Fighters have a role that nobody else can do. Nobody else can do. For some reason, my contacts aren't working. Magic users have interesting stuff they can do right from the start. But Magic is always a big risk. It may be the best of the OSR systems out there. I know this one has come up quite a bit, especially by Sable Phoenix, and it has been on the list. And then, so today is finally the day. Today is finally the day. I've been wanting to look at it for a while. So today is finally the day. Good morning, Steel Mongoose and BGD and Stray. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. No morning grind tomorrow, by the way, just so I remember to say that. No morning grind tomorrow. I'm going to go and play board games with my nephews tomorrow, and I'm going to be over there early in the day. Yes, I'm going to be hanging out with them while my brother and his wife work. They work from home, so they've got to work. It's the summer, though, so the boys are home. So I'm going to be playing board games with them tomorrow and hanging out with them all day. So I'll be up at their house early tomorrow. So no morning grind. I'll put out a reminder about that as well. But all right, let's see here. What else is going on here? Well, let me bring up Lamentations of the Flame Princess. And then we'll do our breathe and sip. This is the art-free complimentary version. So this version of this is free. So says it's art-free, but it says like it's rules and magic free. I was like, wait, how can you do rules and magic? But it's rules and magic free version. So this is just, there's no art in this. Well, it looks like I've got, okay, that's, okay, there we go. There are words. There's no art here. This is just the rules, but this is free. Well, I didn't buy it since it was free, but I got it off of Drive-Thru RPG. So, but if you like it, then there is apparently an art version and all of that as well. All right, I got Mountain Dew this morning. So, all right, I'm ready. I got my fish do not drink tea mug today. All right, so let's breathe and sip. If you are new here, this is the mental health portion of the show for all of the mental fish out there. So drink 2 deep breaths, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage that you have with us this morning. So here we go. And sip. All right, that's good. I was working, trying to figure out if I can get a game working, independently on playingcards.io that we looked at yesterday. Yesterday, I thought that we looked at a very interesting virtual tabletop called playingcards.io. And then there's also an open source version of it that's called virtualtabletop.io. And so I was working yesterday to see if I could get a simple game operational inside of that and then playable inside of our coffee shop. And if I can do that, I also made some adjustments in the online coffee shop. And if I can do that, then maybe this weekend we'll get to open it up for a public, for an open house. I think that would be fun. But I'd like to be able to get at least know that I could get one of my games. This isn't my game, but a game that I make loaded in. Although there are lots of games that come preloaded too, so there's lots of stuff to play. Let's see. Micah says, and the adventures are tightly constructed. The base rules are even free for the Ashcan version, and you can pay what you want for the artwork. Oh, the artwork is pay what you want? Okay. Oh, thank you for the link to the Discord. Lynn says, I've heard people mention Lamentations of the Flame Princess a lot, but I know nothing about it. It'll be good to have a peek inside. Good morning, Andrew. I would like to see a rules-free book. I guess the page content would be low. Well, maybe you got the rules-free version and the art-free version. So it depends on the adventure, but Lamentations can be real brutal if your party isn't cautious, and the artwork often reflects the horror of that. Oh, no, artwork is pay a set amount, not pay what you want, but without artwork is free. All right, well, let's see what's out. Let's get into this. I'm excited. Okay, so we do have character creation. So here's our table of contents. So we've got character creation. Looks like we got character classes here: cleric, fighter, magic user, specialist, dwarf, elf, halfling. So we're doing classes, races as classes. Very old school. Adventuring the rules of the game. How long is this book? We might skip right to the rules of the game and see what's going on there, then come back and do character creation. Foraging and hunting, getting lost, hazards, healing, languages, light and vision, maritime adventures. Oh, we got maritime adventures here. We've got of ships in the sea, encounters at sea, retainers, property and finance, encounters, clerics, magic users. That looks like the spell stuff. Magic material, cleric spells, magic user spells, spell descriptions. 167 pages. Let's see. Do we have a back cover here? As we jump right into character creation. Okay, we do. Mystery and imagination, adventure and death. Beyond the veil of reality, beyond the influences of manipulating politicians, greedy merchants, iron-handed clergy, and broken masses that toil for their benefit, echoes of other realms call those bold enough and desperate enough to escape the oppression of mundane life. Treasure and glory awaits those courageous enough to wrest it from the darkness, but the danger is great, for lurking in the forgotten shadows are forces far stronger and more perilous than even civilization. The price of freedom might be paid in souls. Lamentations, the Flame Princess, weird fantasy role-playing, represents a sinister and horrific twist on traditional fantasy gaming. Simple enough for a beginner, yet meaty enough for the veteran, this game will make all of your worst nightmares come true. This book is a revision of the Rules and Magic book originally found in the Lamentation, the Flame Princess Weird Fantasy Role-Playing boxed set. Oh, I didn't know there was a box set. It contains all the rules needed to play the game. This is the first book of a 2-book set. Okay, the Referee Core book, Procedures and Inspiration, contains information and guidance about constructing and running campaigns and adventures. All right. Now we know. Good morning, Robert. Oh, yeah, this is a proper OSR game. Very deadly and much more of the Eldritch horror style. The art drives the weird and deadly part home with severe emphasis. Okay, Sable says, I wouldn't do that. There's some notable differences in the way Lamentations does their character classes compared to D&D. All right, well, let's just go through it straight then. Boat battles, we tend to use the Ghosts of Saltmarsh rules. Is that oh, that was an adventure. No, for some reason I must have I don't know anything about that one. So that's the 5th. It's got rules for 5th edition ships in it. All right. Let's go. Then we'll just go straight through. Character creation. All right. Roll 3d6 for each ability score. Charisma, Constitution, Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, Strength, and Wisdom in order, and record them on your character sheet. A player can decide to swap the position of one ability score that was rolled with another. Each ability score has a modifier which is associated with it. So ability scores and modifiers. Modifier starting at 13. That's appropriately old school. Explanation of ability scores. Constitution, health, vitality, and toughness. Constitution modifiers affect the hit points and fitness for certain physical activities as you travel long distances. Our summary of what we're doing here is rolling ability scores, note bonuses. Is the character suitable? 2, choose a character class, determine hit points, record to hit bonuses and saving throws. 3, select alignment. 4, determine starting possessions. A, roll money. B, buy equipment. 5, choose a name. We've got intelligence, strength, wisdom, Is the character suitable? If the total of all the character's ability score modifiers is less than 0, the player may discard the character and begin the process again. (5e) randomized the location of critical mechanics in 5th edition. If you don't get all the books, you don't get all the stuff, like ship rules. Okay, so charisma is different. So charisma says charisma is the measure of a character's aptitude for leadership and the respect that others bestow on the character's authority. It's not a measure of the appeal of the character's personality. The player must portray the character's personality, nor a measure of the character's beauty. Charisma modifiers affect both the character's ability to hire retainers and the loyalty of those retainers. So this is aptitude for leadership and respect that others bestow on the character's authority. Good morning, Vision. Micah says some were even ridiculously separated and not 100% suitable. Spelljammer ship mechanics being Ghost of Salt Marsh, essentially, without nearly as much as older editions gave. Yeah, I heard that. Seems like everybody was disappointed with the new Spelljammer book. Choose a character class. Every player character must choose a class. Most people encountered in the game will have no character class at all and are known as 0 or 0 level characters. A character's class cannot be changed once play begins. 4 of the player character classes are human, cleric, fighter, magic user, and specialist. Non-humans are class unto themselves, and those available to players are known as demi-humans, dwarf, elf, and halfling. Determining hit points. Randomly determine the character's starting hit points according to his current level and add the character's constitution modifier. First level characters have a minimum number of hit points they possess. If the rolled amount is less than indicated on the following chart, simply use the number shown on the chart instead. Cleric minimum 4, fighter minimum 8, magic user minimum 3, specialist minimum 4, dwarf minimum 6, elf minimum 4, halfling minimum 4. These minimums are not used when rolling for hit points gained after first level. For determining hit points at level 2 and higher, it is simply the shown die roll plus the constitution modifier. The character's starting hit points are the maximum hit points the character can ever have without gaining a level. While the character will lose hit points in various ways during the course of the adventure, there are different methods of healing damage done. No amount of healing can cause the character to gain more than his normal maximum number of hit points. Halfling as a class. Well, when we went through the rules cyclopedia for Dungeons and Dragons, we went back to the all races as classes. Okay, record attack bonus and saving throws. In combat, the attacking character makes a d20 roll, and if the roll, after all modifiers are applied, is equal to or greater than the target's armor class, the attack is a success. A natural 20 is always a hit, unless the enemy is only vulnerable to special weapon types, which the attacker does not possess, but this is a rare situation, and a natural 1 is always a miss. Natural 1, always a miss. We're not going back and doing Thaco. Many characters, including all player characters, get an attack bonus, which they add to their hit-to-hit roll. As the following chart shows, most classes get a +1 attack bonus. The fighter, and only the fighter, gets an additional attack bonus, a +2 at first level, and gains an additional +1 each time a level is gained. So that allows the fighter to be better than other people. We talked about that quite a bit. We were going through the rules cyclopedia and other versions of D&D, even the introduction to Dungeons and Dragons box set, that at level 1, all character classes fought exactly the same. If you had a Thaco of 20 all the way across, everybody fought the same at first level, although the fighter would get better much faster. So at least here we've got the fighter, even at level 1, being a more competent combatant than anybody else. I did get that. Yeah, okay. Dice Master is pending on RPG Drive-Thru. Hopefully they publish it soon. I got the email here. I have not gone through it yet, but I did get that. I've got to do a lot. I've got to follow up with a bunch of people on Discord and with email, but I did get that. Thank you. Here is where the differences really start cropping up. Fighters will get an additional attack bonus as they level up. This is the one we had a question about what system we would like to use for a West Marches style game. And I see we did a poll on that, and of course, other one. Oh, maybe we should. What should we? What system should we ask on that? Yes, it's interesting. It protects and enforces the niche of the fighter in the game. What system should we poll then? Start a poll. What system would you most like to run a West Marches style game in? What system would you most like to run? So, Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Last time, other basically won. Lamentations of the Flame Princess. What other options should we have? See, Lamentations is absolutely perfect for a West Marches style game, Sable says. ICRPG. Oh, yeah, let's put that one on there. ICRPG will not have we won't have another one. Have just other. We can put D&D 5e. That's probably D&D 5e is probably not going to be popular around here. I don't think GURPS is particularly suitable. Well, we could do Dungeon Fantasy. Let's do that. The problem with that is that its character creation takes longer. People saying in the comments. Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark. How about that? Right. We'll get that poll started. Okay, so the fighter, level 0, all others level 0, attack bonus 0. Level 1, so all others, see level, all others level 1 plus, attack bonus is +2, is +1. Okay, so your attack bonus, if you're not a fighter, is always going to be +1. At level 1, you're +2 with a fighter, and then you start going up immediately. That's what it looks like to me. If you're not a fighter, you're going to have a +1 attack bonus. Saving throws for player characters of all classes and levels are found within the individual class descriptions. The referee will inform the player when a saving throw needs to be made and what category of save it is. The number on the chart is the number that needs to be rolled after all modifiers are applied or higher to successfully save. A natural 20 is always a successful save, and a natural 1 is always a failed save. These saving throws, I could have put easy D6. Easy D6 is also one that we could have put on that. A natural 20 is always a successful save, and 1 is always failed. Do we have, where is our... Okay, with the class descriptions. Okay, so our saving throws can be found with the class descriptions. Okay. These saving throws cover all possible save situations. When there's a doubt as to what save category to use, start at the left column of the saving throw chart and move to the right using the first category that matches the particular effect. Paralyzation will cover any effect which the victim is unable to move, such as petrification or being the subject of a hold person or a web spell. Poison will be for any situation where hit points are irrelevant and the result is unconsciousness or death. Breath weapon is used for area effects. Magical device includes situations with all magic items that have spell-like effects, be they wands, staves, rings, etc. Magic includes any magical effect from a cast spell or innate ability. So it's interesting that you have them progress in one way if you're trying to figure in that order if you're trying to figure out which one applies. Select alignment. Alignment is a character's orientation on a cosmic scale. It has nothing to do with the character's allegiances, personality, moral, or actions. Alignment will mostly be used to determine how a character is affected by certain magical items in the game. 3 alignments. This is old school: lawful, neutral, and chaotic. Lawful, the universe has an ultimate irrefutable truth, a flawless, unchanging plan toward which all events inevitably march. As time moves on, all distraction and resistance to this plan falters until everything is in a perfect state forevermore, without alteration or the possibility of possibilities. Those who are lawful in their alignment are part of an inevitable destiny, but have no knowledge of what that destiny is and what their role will be in fulfilling it. They are forever looking for signs and omens to show their proper way. Chaotic, the howling maelstrom beyond the veil of shadows in existence, is a source of all magic. It bends and tears the fabric of the universe. It destroys all that seeks to be permanent. Those who are chaotic in alignment are touched by magic and consider the world in terms of ebbing and flowing energy, all eternal tides washing away the sand castles that great kings and mighty gods built for themselves. Many mortals who are aligned desperately who are so aligned desperately wish that they were not. To be neutral is merely to exist between the forces of law and chaos. Mortal beings exist in neutral creatures and remain so throughout their existence unless taking specific steps, often unwittingly, to align themselves otherwise. In fact, most beings would be rather displeased with the notion of pure law and chaos, so they are defined in alignment, as they are defined in alignment terms. Even most who claim allegiance to law or chaos are not actually lawful or chaotic. In the real world, every human being that's ever existed has been neutral. In the real world, so I guess according to these descriptions, every human would have been neutral. But clerics must be lawful. Elves and magic users must be chaotic. All others are free to choose their alignment. Dungeon world. We might do another poll here. Dungeon world. Yeah, Lynn says, whatever system you use, it should have fast and simple character creation. West Marsh is about being brutal, fast, and tactical. I don't know Cognate. I don't know that. Eventually, we'll run one in the Farid system, but got to get the core rules document finished first, and just started layout earlier this week. Oh, well, congratulations on that. I was actually starting layout or looking at some layout stuff. Was that a couple of days ago? And brushing up on Adobe InDesign. They changed up the saving throws to make more sense. Having different classes with what are nearly separate rule systems is very old school. We'll check it out. Good morning, Tomocrat. Okay, let's all right, let's keep going. The poll is still up if you're coming in. But other options, if you have other options to vote on, let me know. So Dungeon World, a lot of the YouTuber created RPGs are not like out yet. Determine starting possessions. All characters begin their adventuring careers with money and equipment with which to start their adventuring career. Players will roll for how much money their characters begin with and then buy equipment with that money. All equipment is assumed to be acquired before play starts. The basic unit of money in Lamentations, the Flame Princess, is the silver piece. A number of other coins are used with the following conversion rates. 1 gold piece is equal to 50 silver pieces is equal to 500 copper pieces. 3d6 times 10 SP, also very classic. If characters start above first level, he begins with 180 SP plus 3d6 times 10 for every level greater than 1. For example, a 4th level character would begin with 180 plus 96 times 10 SP. Buying equipment. A referee should inform the players if there are any restrictions, changes, or additions to the equipment tables before characters are created. The referee should inform any players if there are any restrictions, changes, or additions to the equipment tables before characters are created. Costs are given for both city and rural areas. For these purposes, a city is a settlement with a population of at least 1,000 people, and rural is any place at least 1 day's full travel or more from a city. Since their equipment is considered to have been gathered during their travels prior to the start of play, new characters may use the less expensive prices when buying equipment. All costs are considered to be average for average situations, and the referee can freely decide that some prices are more or less expensive based on location, culture, economic, or political upheaval, strong guilds, etc. Oh, knave. For some reason, after having been through all of these different RPGs here on the show, I can't think of having trouble coming up with ones. Knave is ready though. I think we could use some pre-built adventuring gear to make buying equipment faster. All characters are assumed to begin play with a decent set of traveling clothes appropriate for the weather conditions in the starting area of play at no cost, and magic users and elves have a spell book containing their beginning spells. These items do not have to be paid for. Choose a name. Choose a name that complements the theme. And it tells you to take care with that because the character may be around for a while, or maybe not, I guess. Okay, so now we go on to each of the individual classes. Yeah. Easy D6. I like using silver as the basic currency too. Imagine the West Marches campaign using the bunnies and burrows rules. You're going to have to look at GURPS, bunnies and burrows one day. Hey, let's go over and check on the and all right, let's see how the poll's doing. We'll leave it up for a little while longer as people are coming in. Interesting. All right. Maybe after cleric, we'll take a look at that. Okay, cleric. Some religions teach the people how to receive the grace of their loving deity. Some religions teach the people how to survive the wrath of a cruel and vicious deity. Some religions simply strive to teach the truth about creation. All religions serving true power have one thing in common. Orders of those selected few who are not mere priests, but spiritual warriors endowed with their deity with mystic powers. Those few are known as clerics. Clerics can cast spells from the cleric spell list. Full details of the cleric's magical abilities are detailed in the magic section. So here, okay, so it's just one page for the cleric. So here is what we need to know. Level experience points. I bet we're going to have different level up, different experience points. For each different level by different classes. So we got 0 to 1,750. Then we go to 3,500. Double that, double that, double that. Doubling, doubling. Okay, that's not a double. 9 to 11 is, though. Over here, we've got our hit points. 1d6 hit points plus Constitution modifier. But then once you get to level 10, Constitution no longer applies, and we're just going up +2 per level. So that's how we're handling. Again, very old school, very classic. Up to level 9, then things start to change about level 9. Paralyzed, poison, breath weapon, device, and magic saving throws, and then spells per level. This is across the top here. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spells, and then here you go. We've also got to plan with the nephews another Hero Quest game. We got to play some Hero Quest, but I'm intentionally playing Dragon Strike. A lot of the family members like to play Hero Quest, so we play that one when we can get more of the family together. But I'm intentionally playing Dragon Strike with them to kind of introduce them to the idea of the taco and the armor class and different things like that. Because I'm going to try to get I'm going to try to guide the nephews to playing Dungeons and Dragons. One of them already has played Dungeons and Dragons with me. But if I can, I'm going to put together a chain of these different games so they end up with like the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons starter set, because that's the one also has got the CD in it. I think it'd be fun to play with them. So it doubled up through level 9, but then adds a constant 112,000 looks like. BGD says, ICRPG is an excellent basis for a West Marches campaign, both mechanically and narratively. The Elf Marches Discord server hosted a successful 80-player game last year, comprising 70 sessions in 8 months. Wow. I'm busy in real life. Maybe I should look for a West March. Maybe so. Good afternoon. That seems to be what they specialize in. ICRPG character creation is fast and intuitive, but able to encompass almost any concept, and the world is described with easy to grok bullet points that still leaves plenty of space on the map for the GMs. All right, let's go over here and check out. So I'm going to close the poll here. So Lamentations of the Flame Princess came at 38%. Shadow Dark was 38%. We had 13 votes. GURPS Dungeon Fantasy was 15%. ICRPG was 7%. So Shadow Dark. We looked at Shadow Dark. So what is the main core difference between Lamentations of Flame? It seems like there's some similarities. Like, I mean, we're talking about old school gaming. I mean, you go do there's a bunch of different old school games. It feels like the Shadow Marches, the West Marches style games seem to fit with like an old school system pretty well. And of course, Shadow Dark has been very popular. Let's see. So here, let's do. Well, Tomocrat says I have no clue about Lamentations. I didn't until today. So this is my first time through it too. Let's go with another poll. Start a poll of these systems. Which one would you rather have for a West March style game? And now our choices are Dungeon World, Savage Worlds, Knave, or EZD6. Shadow Dark is much more of an OSR hack of 5e, whereas Lamentations is a typical OSR upgrade to AD&D. Shadow Dark is more rules-light than Lamentations. Okay, Fighter. Slaughter defies man's history. Every new era is defined by the cruelty man inflicts upon man, or the victory fighting against it. To those in power, soldiers are but tools to shape the populace on its whims. The price that's paid to enact their desire is irrelevant to those giving the orders. In battle, in battle, there is no law. Man maims man. Horribly wounded men scream for mercy as their life's blood pours out from cruelly hacked wounds. Their cries are ignored and their lives extinguished by those too cruel and frightened to listen. Poets and politicians speak of the honor of battle for a just cause, but in battle there is no justice. There is just death from metal instruments that crush, slash, and stab. Well, this is uplifting. To be willing to slaughter at another's command is in the name of peace and nobility, or to be hardened to the deaths of loved companions, to be immersed in the worthlessness of life. This is the life of a soldier. Fighters are those soldiers who have seen the cruelty of battle, have committed atrocities that in any universe will damn them to hell, and have survived. Fighters begin the best combat capabilities in the game. They're the only character class to further improve in combat skills as levels are gained. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. So Lamentations is more akin to, it seems like, so this does not strike me as much like AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, as it did with just the rules cyclopedia. For Dungeons and Dragons, the basic expert thing. BGD says both Shadow Dark and Lamentations reinforce character class differences and traditional class tropes fairly rigidly, which I normally favor. But these games' core systems mechanics aren't that. Versatile. Robert says war is hell. Yes. So yeah, that's a good point. That Shadow Dark is a 5th edition base, where this is not. So Fighter level 0 would have D6 hit points. NPCs only. All player characters begin at level 1. D8 hit points. At level 10, you start getting +3 with no Constitution modifier. 2,000 points. So the cleric leveled up at 1,750. I figured this was going to be different. Whereas you hit 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16. We're doubling here. Up to 9 again. Their increase in attack bonus was elsewhere. Magic user. Most of the world lies sheltered from the existence of magic, encountering it only as it victimizes them. They huddle in their churches for comfort and trade their freedom and dignity to the ruler as they beg for protection. All the fear of the supernatural, which they do not and cannot understand. Magic users choose a different path. Instead of cowering away from the darkness, they revel in it. They see the forces of magic as a new frontier to explore, a new tool for the attainment of power and knowledge. If it blackens the soul to equal that of any devil, but it's a small price to pay. Magic users can cast spells from the magic user spell list. So this is basically our wizard. D4 hit points, D4 hit die plus Constitution. Takes a little bit longer to level, 2,250 XP. Paralyzed, poison, breath, device, magic, spells starting, at first level, starting with classic 1 first level spell. Lestray says, Lamentations, the Flame Princess is what our parents were worried normal D&D was. Wizard Jim. Welcome, Wizard Jim. Wizard Jim says, Shadow Dark to me has a horrible sense of mechanical disconnectedness. It's like it was cobbled together from a bunch of isolated rules hacks. It's been a while since I've read it. I do remember, though, because we did look at it on the Morning Grind. I do remember, now that you say that, I do remember that it was kind of formatted in the way it was formatted in sort of that newer style way where they just say a bunch of stuff. And I kind of do prefer the rules to actually be written. But, you know, to me, it's kind of a style which Mork Borg takes to an extreme, right? Now that couples that type of layout or that style of communicating rules, or sometimes not communicating the rules, with a particular layout style where everything is just kind of you're supposed to just pick it up and kind of just jump in. I remember that Shadow Dark was kind of put together in that way as well. PH says, is Shadow Dark 5e based though? It seems to me as a complete mix that makes its own beast. I thought I remembered that when Sable Phoenix said so, but is that not happening? Lynn says, this is feeling much like an alternate branch off of the older D&D editions. Simple PC creation, highly compartmentalized classes, races, and probably not a lot of flexibility. BGD says, Easy D6 still qualifies as being pretty OSR in scope and tone, in addition to rules light, but it is fast, furious, and fun, as well as adaptable to suit almost any setting, concept, or game type you want. I'm still working on the Rabavania in Easy D6. Oh, this is not one first level spells. It's one spell. Spells per level. Spells are not leveled in this game. Magic is magic, and you could start at level 1 with a highly dangerous demon summoning spell. Okay, we'll check that out. What is that? Oh, I guess that's the specialist. So that's the specialist. The specialist fighters are adventurers because they are so inured to death they cannot settle down to a normal life. Magic users are those who have pursued the dark arts and no longer are welcome in society. Clerics are charged by their god to go forth and perform their special duties. Specialists, well, they do because they want to. Whether you're inspired by greed, boredom, or idle curiosity, specialists are professional explorers risking life and limb simply because a less active life is distasteful to them. In some ways, this makes them the only sane and normally adventuring characters, but in other ways, it makes them the most unusual. The specialist is unique because the character's class has no special abilities of its own. Instead, the specialist is better at certain activities that all characters are able to do at a basic level. The specialist begins with the same default level in the activities of other characters, but receives points, which can be allocated to improve his abilities of the chosen skills. The available skills are, and their default starting values for all characters, are architecture, okay, 1 in 6 for all of them. Bushcraft, climb, languages, search, sleight of hand, sneak attack, stealth, and tinker. Most of the rules covering these skills can be found in the adventuring rules of the game section of this book. For skills that are X and 6, allocating a point increases the chance by 1. For example, excuse me, just a moment. I'm going to get something else to drink here. Excuse me, just one moment. Oh, it's time for a Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break, Yeti hug break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love. All right. Lynn says, architecture skill is essential if you ever find yourself in a position where you need to design a shopping mall to defeat a dragon. Steel Mongoose says, I thought Shadow Dark looked pretty cohesive in design. It was certainly a collection of rule hacks from all over, but seemed like they were grouped pretty deliberately to me. TSL Frontman says, Shadow Dark, a lot of it was written in live streams with fan input, so it comes off as a conversational piecemeal rules, somewhat patchworked altogether. And very trimmed. Not a lot of fat on it. Efficiency of words. At least the original info was before the campaign finished. PH says, I would choose Easy D6 every time. There's no easy and it's so easy and fast. It lets me incorporate additional mechanics when necessary. It almost seems like a faster and funnier version of GURPS. Oh. So most of the rules covering these skills can be found in the Adventuring Rules of the Game section of the book. For skills that are X and 6, allocating a point increases the chance by 1. For example, languages begin at 1 and 6. A specialist allocating a point to this skill increases his chance to 2 and 6. For other characters, sneak attacks are merely attacks made by surprise. Okay, so sneak attack is right here. Okay, so there's no probability by sneak attack. Sneak attacks are merely attacks made by surprise. A specialist can multiply the damage done by a sneak attack by allocating points to this skill. Assume that the damage multiplier is times 1 for all characters, but for every point allocated to the skill by a specialist, the damage multiplier is increased by 1. If a specialist has any points in sneak attack, then he also gets +2 bonuses to hit above any other bonus he already has when performing a sneak attack. When the use of an ability is attempted, the player must roll d6, and if the result is equal to or less than the ability, the action is successful. In some cases, the referee will make the roll if the character would not know immediately if he was successful. For example, the character will easily be able to tell if he has successfully picked a lock or not, so the player can make that roll. On the other hand, if the character would not know after searching for traps, he has failed to find a trap, or if there is simply not one present. In this case, the referee will make that roll. If the specialist has a skill with a rating of 6 and 6, the roll to succeed is made with 2 dice, and only if both come up as 6 does the attempt fail. The specialist must be unencumbered to use any of the class abilities involving movement or suffer 1 point of skill penalty per level of encumbrance. They must also have specialist tools to use search for finding traps or to use tinker for opening locks and other activities. So let's see. Here are the skill points over here. So this one levels fast, 1,500 experience points, HP over here, D6, paralyzed, poison, breath, device, and magic, and then here are the skill points. So you start off with 4 at level 1. So you would get to distribute 4 of those. And then you get 2 every level. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 different things that you can allocate skills to. Yeah, I guess you need to, if you put 5, so you do 5, so that's 45 points. If you wanted to max them all out, it would take 45 points. 2, 4, 6. Oh, well, this is +2. So at level 10, let's say level 9. At level 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So at level 9, you would have 20 points allocated in those skills. All right, the dwarf. So the architecture is great if you need to figure out which way to go in a dungeon or how to pick a lock. We looked at it. Check out if you want to go through the morning grind. Look up Easy D6 in the morning grind. It's there. We actually went through it a couple of times. We went through it just to figure out how to play it, and then later we went through it specifically with an eye toward building something with it for Rabavania. Right. Easy D6 has nothing to do with GURPS. It just feels like that way when I'm playing it because of the way I play GURPS. Lamentations, Wizard Jim says, Lamentations Specialist is by far my favorite implementation of thief skills. Sable says, yes, it gets around the problem of thieves taking forever to get any useful level of proficiency in their skills. We kind of were laughing about that when we were going through some of the old school games where the thief, you just cannot make any kind of plan assuming that the thief is going to be successful at anything. I love old school D&D, but Lamentations is a great fix for all inherent problems in the class. Oh, let's go over here to our poll. So I'm going to end the poll here. We got 14 votes. So of this list, wait, why didn't it show me my poll? Did it show you the poll? I noticed it said we had 0% on. Why didn't it show me the results? We had 0% on Dungeon World. Do you see the poll results in the class? In the chat? I feel cheated. Oh, here he goes. Okay. It popped up. Okay. I guess it took a while. Okay. Of these systems, Easy D6, it got 50% of those votes. Knave is second. I think doing a game, see, I kind of was, I thought that where some things went with Knave second edition was a bit odd. And there were some things that I thought needed to be kind of changed with the Knave first edition. We went through a lot of Knave stuff here on the Morning Grind. But Dungeon World was 0%. So nobody thought that one was going to be an appropriate one. Savage Worlds, because I kind of expected that one to be low. Savage Worlds 21%. So Easy D6. Interesting. Easy D6 and Knave. PH says, in old school D&D, fighters start as veterans, but thieves have to grind a lot to become good thieves. Stargate Mind says, Knave is limited by design. Is limited by design. Yeah. All right. The dwarves are a dying race. One of the most powerful people on the planet. Once the most powerful people on the planet, their decline has left them spiritually shattered people. Once they took great pride in their grand architecture, their technological supremacy, and loved each other just as hard as they worked. They did not change with the world. As the rest of the world's inhabitants came into their own, the dwarves retreated to their subterranean fortresses. War and impotence stripped the dwarves of their pride, and all that was left was to work. And work is the life of the average dwarf. There is no love, no joy. Just never-ending work meant to numb the brain and appease the spirit to the acquisition of gems and precious metals. Dwarves do not even really breed anymore, such as their disregard for the basic pleasures of existence. Not all are like that, though. Some strike out into the world wanting to live. These types often have as much trouble settling down in human societies as their own and become wandering adventurers. As a race, dwarves are stocky, short and stocky, about 4 feet tall, and 135 pounds. They live about 300 years. They typically have a ruddy complexion and rather gruff personalities. Joviality is unknown to the dwarves, even those roaming on the surface. All dwarves value their beard, and the length of one's beard is the real measure of a dwarf's virility and worth, and often the beard is exquisitely styled and decorated. Dwarves are not a magic-using race, but are fierce and resilient warriors. They do have a natural connection to the earth itself and a cultural understanding of construction, and due to this has a greater initial architecture score than all other characters. Dwarves are able to bear incredible burdens. It takes 5 additional items for a dwarf to gain the first encumbrance point. A dwarf receives +1 bonus to his constitution modifier, so a dwarf with a 12 constitution has a +1 modifier instead of the usual +0, for example. So this is a +1 bonus to the Constitution modifier itself. A dwarf also continues to apply his Constitution modifiers, if any, to hit points gained after level 9. So we're not maxing out in levels here. I see. So D8 hit point. Oh, no, D10 hit points. So dwarves are hardies. They've got more hit points than the fighter. Here are paralyzed or saving throws, architecture skill, 3 and 6. We get an additional +1 to Constitution modifier, and they get to apply their Constitution modifier to their hit points after level 9. TSL Frontman says, I took Knave being more focused on the crawl first and foremost. The simplicity of the characters makes the heroes feel more alone in the cruel world. Yeah, and even though if you're talking about hex exploration, but you're going, and the hex crawl in a West Marches style game, but you're going to some site and location, often for like treasure raiding. So I think that's why when you hear Knave in that context, I'm like, oh, yeah, well, okay, you could. There's just not a whole lot to it. Elf. Let's just get to what the elf does here. Player character elves are those gifted individuals that are trained as both fighters and magic users. Elves have the same spell list and spell progression as magic users. Full details of an elf magical abilities are described in the magic section. Elves' enhanced senses allow them to search more effectively than others, 2 and 6 chance, and are less often surprised than other races, 1 in 6 chance. Takes 3,000 hit points, so this is a longer leveling class. It says that they are trained as both fighters and magic users, but I don't see anything. So I think that means you're not adding. They're not going up +1 attack bonus per class per class level, right? I don't see that anywhere. I think that's just for the human fighters. But we do have spells here. The halfling. So halflings are very quick and agile folk, and so add 1 to their dexterity modifier and receive a 1-point bonus to their armor class when not surprised. In the wilderness, halflings have the uncanny ability to stay hidden, and so have a 5 and 6 stealth skill. Halflings also begin with a 3 and 6 bushcraft skill due to halfling society being traditionally in harmony with nature. Due to their size, halflings cannot use large weapons and must use medium weapons two-handed. 2,000 points, so rather moderate here. D6 hit points. Remember all of these you're trying to roll equal to or over. So they've got pretty good saving throws. They start off with really good saving throws. I hadn't really been comparing a whole lot of the different saving throws, but halflings 10, 8, 13, 9, 12. Yeah, and up here we're talking about 13, 12, 15, 13, 15 with the elf. Well, the dwarf also has pretty good saving throws. I think that's also pretty classically old school. Yeah, so the specialist, has like 14, 16, 15, 14, 14. And then here's your bushcraft skill. And then if you're outside, you get a 5 and 6 hiding skill. Lynn says, now I'm wondering what kind of RPG system the hive mind here could cobble together in a 2-hour chat. Well, we talked we've talked RPG design. Look up the Faded Edge. If you want to see us all having a group chat basically around mechanics, look up the Faded Edge discussions, because there are some that are marked, some morning grinds that are marked RPG design. Yeah, 2 hours is not a lot of time though. We spent an hour and a half, maybe as much as 2 hours, but it's not. There's still a lot of work to be done. Equipment lists. All right. Armor. I like that they're using all the, what are those marks called up on Melee? Silvered weapons. Characters wearing armor receive the base armor class listed for the type. Here's the base armor class. Unarmored characters have a base AC of 12. Shields increase AC by 1 point versus melee attacks and 2 points versus missile attacks. An unadjusted armor class is that of solely the armor and shield. Dexterity modifiers, magical modifiers, and other adjustments are not counted when determining an unadjusted AC. Some weapons can attack from the second rank. That is used when there is a definite battle line in combat. Use only those in the front line of the battle. Usually only those in the front line of the battle can strike, but those weapons usable from the second rank allow anyone immediately behind the battle line to strike as well. So here are our missile weapons. Bunch of very old school themed equipment list. Italicized items are considered non-encumbering items for encumbrance purposes, although the referee can rule that quantities of the items do count toward encumbrance. Items listed in both italics and bold are considered to be oversized, like a ladder, a pavilion, a tent. All right, rules of the game. Architecture. Clues, warnings. Okay. So this is the architecture skill. So clues, warnings, and rewards can be built into the very structures of the character's surroundings. Determining if a certain portion of a structure was built at a different time than the surrounding construction. Determining if a passage shifts or slopes gradually. Detecting if a particular structure is unsafe to travel in or on. Determining what culture or even specific method of construction was used for any specific structure. All of these things and more, this list merely illustrates possibilities, can be important in keeping explorers alive and helping them achieve their goals of unlocking ancient mysteries. Any character has a 1 in 6 chance to note any of these features in the surrounding architecture. Use of this skill is not passive. The character must spend 1 turn examining the structure. Climbing. All characters have a base 1 in 6 chance to use the climb skill, which allows the character to climb walls and other sheer surfaces without obvious handholds. Characters, except specialists, must be unencumbered to make the attempt. Failure means that the character falls from a random point in the climb, not halfway up, but a random point in the climb. Characters with 2 free hands can climb ropes and ladders with no die roll needed. Locked doors. Locked doors are impassable without a key. Picking the lock, which requires the tinker skill roll and specialist tools, or breaking down the door. There was lard on the equipment list. You know, as soon as I bring up something weird stuff on the equipment list, people in the YouTube comments on the YouTube videos will always come up with some, well, you just got to be creative about the use of this thing, whatever it is. And we'll come up with some reason why, if you're going adventuring, you might want to make something slippery. That's okay. So that's our purpose of our lard. We want to set a trap. Yeah. So let's grease up these stairs. Okay. Maybe that's why it's there. Oiling, it's trying to, can't get the key to turn in the lock. Maybe use lard to oil it up or something. But when it's funny that people will talk about that, like, oh yeah, gee, I always make sure I have flour and lard when I'm going on an adventure, because flour, that allows me to detect invisible creatures by spreading around the flour. And then I always grease up something with lard. I've never actually had that happen in the game. Breaking the door down requires an appropriate equipment, some sort of axe for a wooden door, a pick for stone, etc., and takes 1 turn for wooden doors or 2 or more turns for doors made out of other materials. Many doors in dungeons and ruins are merely stuck. To open a standard stuck door, wood with iron banding, a character must successfully make an open doors roll, base 1 in 6 chance. Strength modifiers apply to the roll's chances, so having a strength modifier +1 means there is a 2 in 6 chance of opening the door. Okay, so here you're adding a modifier to something that's not a roll of a d20. So that's interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen that before in these. So a +1 strength modifier matters a lot when you're just rolling a d6. Use of a crowbar adds a further +1 to the action, and each additional person helping adds another, although only 2 people can attempt to open a standard-sized door. Each attempt takes 1 turn. Doors made of stronger or heavier materials may need a greater number to open. A giant stone door may have a 2 in 6 chance, may have a negative 2 in 6 chance of being opened, requiring bonuses before there's even a chance to open it, for example, or be impossible to open. So a giant stone door might be -2 in 6. A single man can excavate 3 cubic feet of earth per hour if he has a proper equipment. Strength modifiers apply to the number of cubic feet. He can dig at half of this rate if he has improvised tools, and 1/4 of this rate if no tools at all. Experience points. Experience points are a measure of improvement and progress for player characters. They are the way the game keeps score. However, like many other concepts in this game, XP is abstract concept and not a literal measure of the experiences that a character has had or what a character has learned. Not all character action successes will result in XP rewards, nor will all adventures involve XP. At the end of every session of play, experience points will be awarded to the character who participated in the game. These experience rewards are to be divided equally among the surviving participants of the adventures. Divided equally among the surviving participants of the adventure. So if somebody died on the way, you don't have to, you just take their portion of the experience points. Characters present for portions of the adventure should only get a share of experience points for the activities in which they participated. So you gain them in 2 ways: by defeating enemies and recovering treasure. Defeating enemies. Defeating enemies is a minor way of gaining experience. This is not a game about combat or slaying foes. So I'll say that again. Defeating enemies is a minor way of getting experience. This is not a game about combat or slaying foes. These activities are simply frequent necessities in the harsh reality of the game. Characters who prefer to fight when it is unnecessary are lunatics, possibly psychotic, and not likely to survive long in a game run by a competent referee. To count for XP purposes, an enemy must be a threat and be predisposed to hostility towards the player characters. Randomly slaying a villager, slaughtering livestock, hunting, etc. do not count toward XP rewards. For the purposes of XP, defeating is defined as winning a battle against a foe where force of arms is used or at least threatened. An enemy must be brought to 0 HP or lose a morale check or surrender in order to count as having been defeated. Sneaking past, tricking, and negotiating with an enemy may prevent combat and lead to other awards, but it does not translate to XP. That's interesting. So you have to have brought them to 0 HP, lose a morale check, or surrender in order to defeat them. Sneaking past, tricking, or negotiating with an enemy may prevent combat and lead to other awards, but does not translate to XP. Using magic to neutralize or pacify an enemy does count, so spells such as Sleep and Charm do count toward defeating an opponent. So here is our hit die XP award for enemy hit die. So this is the enemy hit die defeated, so this is going to be divided among surviving players. Sometimes enemies surrender and are randomized, or the enemies have been randomized, have been ransomed or let free, or flee an earlier battle and return to fight again. An enemy can only count for XP once in any given game session. So they come back in another game session, you can defeat them again. Monsters with special abilities count as one more hit die, and classed characters count as one hit die more than their level. Oh, character sheet. I didn't look at that. Let's look. That's a very old school thing, though, using odd items and the environment with non-lateral thinking. Old school D&D was much more of an adventure game, like the old text adventures, like Zork or whatever. Yes, I would say that's a very characteristic of old school. It's just not something that's come up very much in any game I've ever been in. Lynn says, yeah, the tone has changed over the decades. Any non-lateral thinking only works if your GM allows it. Some are real stick in the muds about ad-libs. Okay, I'm on page 37. Let's just see if they do have a character sheet in the back. The character sheet. Do they not actually give you one? Because is that considered art? So here would be, but here is what the character sheet looks like. Ability scores and modifiers and what that changes. Common activities. Okay, so you've got the D6. You've got a representation of a D6 right here. So you're filling in pips for your skills. That's an interesting way to do the skills. So you just have the pips and fill them in for architecture, bushcraft, climbing, languages, etc. Cast cleric spell. Cast magic user spell. I bet we're going to be filling in these pips over here. Saving throws written across up here. Attack bonus, base attack bonus, melee attack bonus, ranged attack bonus. Surprise chance over here. Max HP, current HP. Armor class melee, armor class ranged, armor class without shield, and surprised. Combat options, standard attack, AB plus 0, AC plus 0. Parry, AC plus 2, AC plus 4. Press, AB plus 2, AC minus 4. Defensive, AB minus 4, AC plus 2. A place to put weapons and retainers. And then I can't see all of this over here, but it looks like encumbrance. Okay. And then you record equipment, languages, and other stuff on the back. So that's what our character sheet looks like. Yeah, Steel Mongoose says, I often say that rules are more often about beauty, about I bet that's whether your character can't do, about what your character can't do than what he can. What? Yeah, what? About what your character can't do rather than what he can. Steel Mongoose. So Sable Phoenix says, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like this is like Maul's Ritter, and that it says just let your players do what they want unless it's under real duress. Rolling dice kills characters. Lamentations has a great character sheet. It's so clean and easy to read. Okay, so that is what the character sheet looks like. Okay, so we can also gain XP by recovering treasure. This is the primary method for gaining XP in the game. However, not all monetary gains are counted as treasure. The following will gain the character's wealth, but they do not count for XP purposes. Coins looted from bodies outside of adventure locations. Rewards. Selling equipment stripped from foes. Selling magical items that have been used by a player character or retainer. Tax income. Wealth. Theft of wealth from mundane merchants, rulers, and citizens. Trade, commerce, and other business activity, including selling of mundane items stripped from foes. The following treasures do count for XP purposes. All valuable treasure recovered from uncivilized or abandoned areas, like the West Marches. Money hoarded by creatures who have no actual use of it. Treasure is calculated for XP only after it's been returned to a secure location, so you also have to get it back home. 1 silver piece worth of treasure is worth 1 experience point. So see that if depending on that might not be an issue in West Marches games if you always start and end at the town. And some of the people we were talking about running the West Marches game just sort of hand wave getting back, because if you're only trying to play for 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 4 hours, you've got some issues getting there, some encounters getting there, whatever, and then it's really about where you are, and then you get back. 1 silver piece worth of treasure is worth 1 experience point. Experience is divided among all surviving party members involved in an adventure. Gaining a level. When a character earns enough experience points to qualify for the next level, the change will happen the next time the character is returned to a secure location. When a character earns enough experience points to qualify for the next level, the change will happen the next time the character is returned to a secure location. At that point, the character's level changes and all benefits of that next level are immediately granted. So you got to return to a secure location. 3 points to consider, so you're not going to level up in the middle of walking back home or trying to get back home. You got to get back to a secure location, and then you will level up. 3 points to consider when gaining a new level. A damaged character that gains a level has his new additional hit points added to both the current and maximum total. The characters will still be damaged for the same amount of points as before. For example, a first level fighter has a maximum of 8 HP, but after a battle has lost 3, so 5 points lost. The XP gained from the battle and resulting treasure was enough to push him to the next level. After returning to town, the player rolls D8 for the character's hit points. The player rolls a 5, so the player's maximum hit points increases to 13, and the current hit points become 8, so 5 have still been lost. Spell casting characters must still prepare all spells as normal. The increased number of spells available to cast does not automatically make the number of spells already prepared instantly increase as well. Okay, magic users and elves who gain a free spell for their spell book must still research that spell as usual and take the usual amount of time. It simply will not cost the money that researching a spell usually does. And Lynn says the loot equals XP mechanic works pretty well for dungeon crawls and West Marches style campaigns. Yes. Characters may be able to find food and water during their journeys overland. To find food in the wilderness, the character must roll against his bushcraft skill, with terrain modifying the skill as follows: plains +1, mountain normal, forest +2, desert -1, jungle +2, swamp normal. Hunting takes time, and the distance traveled during the day where successful hunting occurs is lessened by 1d4 times 25%. Unsuccessful hunts take 1 day. Success means that 1d4 days worth of meals for a single person has been acquired for the party. 1d10 units of ammunition are expended in the attempt. If a character does not have a proper missile weapon, the chance to find food is lowered by 1. If the character has no missile weapon at all, reduce the chance by 1 more. If it's winter, reduce the chance by 1 point, unless in the desert, where this doesn't matter. All food gained from foraging and hunting is considered the equivalent of standard rations. Finding enough water to drink is easy in most environments, but the desert water can only be found if the bushcraft roll is successfully made on 1d12 rather than 1d6. I think that's why Kelsey did it for Shadow Dark 2 with the carousing tables. Oh, yeah, I remember the carousing tables. You have to carouse to level up. Getting lost. We'll go for a few more minutes here. Characters can confidently follow trails, roads, and other well-known landmarks without fear of becoming lost. However, when traveling across the wilderness, it's easy to lose direction. At the start of each day of travel, the referee will roll 1d6, and on a 1, the party may go off course. The referee should then make a secret roll against the highest bushcraft skill among the characters in the traveling party. If the roll fails, the group is lost. If the roll indicates the party is lost, it likely won't realize it immediately. The party will continue on its travels, its members not understanding they are off course for many days. The referee will decide which direction the group is traveling and how far off it is from its intended direction. One option is to pick a direction only slightly off course. For instance, if the group intends to go south, it's actually headed southwest or southeast. Hazards. Loss of ability scores only affect the character so much as their modifier and bonuses will change. Losses of ability scores only affect the character so much as the modifiers and bonuses will change. A character dropping from 13 strength to 12 will no longer have a strength modifier, for example. This is most striking with Constitution, as any change in Constitution modifier is now applied immediately to both current and maximum hit points. A character who falls to 0 in any ability score dies. I like how Lamentations has all these rules, but they're quick and punchy. Brief description of situation. What's the modifier? Next item. It has a decent level of crunch, but it's easy to grasp. Lynn says you have to remember that orcs only hide on the north side of trees, and it's easy to keep your bearings. Aging. Characters who grow old will lose their faculties and eventually die. The chart below gives the character starting age that the character must start making saving throws versus paralyzation. At what ages there are penalties to the modifier and how often the saving throw must be made. A failed saving throw means that one randomly determined ability score will permanently decrease by 1 point. So a dwarf, no modifier at 200, -2 at 250, -4 at 300, interval. Oh, every interval 5 years. Halflings, humans, no modifier, starting to make rolls at age 40, 50, 60. 0, yeah, I thought about that too. 0 charisma, you're dead. When a character or creature suffers damage, the amount of damage is deducted from the creature's current hit points. When the hit points reaches 0, the character becomes unable to take any action, and in most cases falls completely unconscious. The character becomes mortally wounded at -3 hit points and will die in 1d10 minutes. No healing, magic, or otherwise can prevent death at this point. Oh, so you are mortally wounded at -3 hit points. And you will die in 1d10 minutes. But no healing, like, why does that matter? Because no healing, magical or otherwise, can prevent death at this point. Death is instantaneous at -4 hit points. So you got a little bit to give. You're going to be falling unconscious at 0. But at -3, you're out of here. And I would assume, so we're keeping track of the negatives. So if you're at 3 hit points and you've been hit for, if you got 3 hit points and you're hit for 6 points of damage, then you're dead in 1d10 minutes. You're unconscious, and that's just it for you. If you're hit for 7 points of damage, you'd be instantaneously dead. Disease. Characters exploring in godforsaken ruins, ancient tombs, and trackless wilderness can become exposed to all sorts of plagues and illnesses. Natural chronic illness will not normally be part of the game as far as the game players are concerned. That said, the referee is free to introduce an NPC stricken by cancer or some other illness. Diseases are individual in nature, but they have the following characteristics: incubation period, infection time, interval, and effect. When exposed to a disease, the referee will make a save versus poison on behalf of the character. If the fail is saved, the character has contracted the disease. The incubation period describes the length of time before the character is affected, and at that point, the character must make another saving throw, and then another every interval point for the duration of the affection time, or else suffer the effect of each failed save. Each save after the disease is contracted is made with a -2 penalty if the character is not at rest for the duration of the infection. For example, the Green River Fever has an incubation period of 1 week, an interval of 4 hours. 4 hours, an infection time of 3 days, and the effect of lowering intelligence. So beginning 1 week after the character has been infected, the character must make a saving throw versus poison every 4 hours for 3 days, a total of 18 saving throws, or lose a point of intelligence for each failed save. Do you get them back after that period of time? Or you got to come up with some other way to get them back? Is that a permanent thing that happened to you because of the disease? Drugs and alcohol. Drugs are treated much less poison would be, but the effect of a failed saving throw, no save if usually drugs are treated much as poisons would be, but the effect of a failed saving throw, no save if intentionally using drugs, are usually much less severe than death. The referee will determine the effects of specific drugs in the campaign. Alcohol is far more pernicious, as it is quite common for most everyone to use it to excess, as beer and wine are often safer to drink than plain water. Teetotalers will be extremely rare. Drunk characters are -2 to dexterity and all saving throws. Falling. Characters suffer 1d6 points of damage per every 10 feet they fall, up to a maximum of 20d6 for a 200-foot fall. Classic falling damage. There are a variety of ways that a character can become poisoned. When exposed to poison, the character must make a saving throw against poison or suffer the effects. Typical effects of poison are instant death, falling into a deep slumber, the loss of hit points, or perhaps the reduction in one or more ability scores. Only all or nothing effects are considered to be a poison. Only all or nothing effects are considered to be a poison. Poisons that cause gradual or incremental effects are considered to be drugs for the rules purposes. We'll start with healing tomorrow. So let's go through starvation. A character must eat at least 1 full meal a day and drink water every day or suffer ill effects. For every 24 hours the character goes without food, the character can make a save versus poison, or 1 constitution point is lost. For every 24 hours the character goes without water, his constitution drops by half unless he makes a saving versus poison. After 3 such failed saves against poison due to lack of water, the character will be dead. Constitution losses due to dehydration and starvation recover at twice the usual rate with rest and proper nourishment. Okay, so I guess there is going to be rules for getting those points back. Sleep deprivation. A character must sleep for at least 4 hours per 24-hour period in order to function properly. If this is not the case, the character suffers a -1 penalty to all rolls, a 10% penalty for any D percentile rolls, until the situation is corrected. If the character continues on further without taking adequate sleep, there is a cumulative -1 or 10% penalty for every additional day that passes without proper rest being taken. Trey, hey Trey. Trey says, Lamentations of the Flame Princess is a great grimdark setting. I like the rules are based off of BX D&D. I do like how they do skills. Makes skill checks quick. We did go through sub skills. His Geekverse may have already said this. I'm sorry I'm late. Okay, Frederick says, the secret to this system is no overpowered magic spells. We haven't gotten to the magic yet. We will pay careful attention to that when we do. Still Mongoose says, now that I think about it, maybe we get close to death as we age because we're getting uglier. It's all about the Christmas scores. Oh, but charisma isn't about appearance in this game. Ah, yeah. Frederick says this is very balanced in play with little or no power creep. Okay, well, it seems like we're in general very positive about this one. So I'm gonna keep going with it on future morning grinds. Remember, no morning grind tomorrow because I'm going to be playing Dragon Strike with my nephews. I'll post a reminder about that. Hopefully here and on the Discord server. But I like it. I like it so far. I like it. Probably it seems like you could augment this game with a lot of the stuff from the Rules Cyclopedia. All right. Well, I think really appreciate your being here with me today. I think this has been a great conversation. So I guess this is Thursday, right? So already Thursday. Bleeding time. So no morning grind tomorrow on Friday. So I guess Saturday we will pick up with the Lamentations of the Flame Princess again. So have a great day. Everybody go have fun, be productive, be creative, and grind on. I will see you later.